Welcome to the Real CP Show. I'm your host, CP. And today's topic, Chinese, a supermarket in Abuja, Nigeria, shows hatred to Nigerians. Again, today's topic is Chinese supermarket in Abuja, Nigeria, which is the capital, shows hatred to Nigerians. How does that sound?
I thought it was dumb. Maybe you're right.
Yes. Because it's very embarrassing on that. That's very embarrassing. See, the thing about it is, let me get this part the way. There are good Nigerians, and credit given to those that are good, be it from the continent, be it from the states, etc., etc. Now, that part is out the way. Now, unfortunately, there is some selloutism as well in certain sections of Nigerianism, right? Just like some of the ones that are allowed to come over to the United States, jumping over planes, falling all over buses to try to get to the States, and Harvard numbers going through being border breakers, illegal immigrants themselves, the ones that do this. So it's hilarious in a non-ha-ha way that there are certain types of Nigerians that ones this applies to that run to America and have the nerve to look down upon American blacks and say, "Are you out your freaking mind? Are you out your freaking mind?" Because the Nigerian population, again, the ones it applies to, I'm not talking about the good ones, but the ones it applies to demographically is a smattering of minuteness in America. So it's like, how dare some sellouts or some gullible ones and some ones that look upon numbers of personnel within the predominant culture who allow numbers of them to come to America. So they're going to pick and choose which particular sellouts and gullible ones and ones that are going to look at numbers of personnel within the predominant culture as their gods as well. Yes. Because like in this situation right here, it's like, where are those same type of Nigerians, the one this applies to in America, etc., sitting there jumping up and down and running right back to Nigeria in this situation like here and say, hey, those Chinese people who are doing Nigerians wrong, you will stop this. You know what you know what they'll do, the number of those Chinese personnel would do? They sit there and see those little nonsensical ones that think they're gonna sit there and change from within America, right? Which they're obviously not. This is what they would do. Right? They'd be like, get out of here. You just mind your business in America and and do whatever y'all do in America. Right? The story goes is that a Chinese owned supermarket in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, has been shut down by basically some authorities over there. There were some type of allegations that the supermarket, Chinese owned, that was denying numbers of African shoppers, primarily Nigerian shoppers. It said that the Chinese Chamber of Commerce in Nigeria has denied racism allegations. It talks about how the Chinese supermarket, is a tenant in a building run by the China General Chamber of Commerce. It talks about how this follows widespread outrage on social media after some Nigerians parentheses, some Nigerians, shared their experiences of allegedly being turned away by security when they attempted to go to the supermarket. What's interesting is that they're not going to talk about whom are the security personnel and how, which most likely was going to be numbers of Nigerians. I saw a particular video that showed the security personnel who was, you know, we're gonna say Nigerian, unless they didn't hire some other personnel who had the skin, right? Of anyway, the point is, unless they hire somebody from another whole country, right? Which will make no sense, right? So we're gonna go with they had to this person had to be Nigerian security. That's turn away his own people. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. So it talks about how, like one of the videos, it was saying that uh, this person had discovered the supermarket online, but was blocked from entering the complex where it was located. At the gate, security people told him that the supermarket is strictly for Chinese people. If you are a Nigerian, you can't go inside or buy anything. This particular person, most likely, is going to be Nigerian. He said in the clip. In another video on X, a group of Nigerians are seen visiting a building to verify the reports that non-Chinese shoppers were being turned away. A security guard outside the entrance appears to tell them that the supermarket had cut off access to Nigerians since January. Today is April the 29th, 2024. Mm, 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 mm. Where's the numbers of Nigerians, the ones supplies to in the States or wherever else, running back again to Nigeria to say, hey, you Chinese people, you will not sit there and treat us Nigerians like that. Nope. Nope. Because they know better. And here's the thing about it. See, what's usually not talked about, right? Especially numbers of American blacks by the millions, because the system knows that multi-millions American blacks are not good researchers whatsoever. And unfortunately, modern day I'm talking about are ones that are very influenced by non-constructive things with very few exceptions. Oh, it's getting worse and worse. This is why, again, I'll say, unfortunately, that the American blacks, unfortunately, only have about half a generation to one generation left before the overall complete destruction of the collective modern day culture, right? And so the system also uses certain type of personnel in certain parts of Africa as kind of an attacher situation, right? So they have a skin of black, but couldn't care less about a 2 cents of a cock's tail about American blacks. Let alone it's hilarious because there are numbers of Nigerian personnel in America. I'm speaking to this particular situation that can't even stand other Nigerians. But let's just go with that. But will be a little bit more understanding because they're so minute in America. But you won't see various Nigerian personnel jumping up and down with numbers of Somalian personnel. You ain't gonna really see it. You're not gonna see numbers of Nigerian personnel jumping up and down with Ethiopians. You ain't gonna see that. You're surely not gonna see numbers of Nigerian personnel with grabbing up or with South Africans, right? Rwandans, right? You ain't gonna see those kind of things. So that's a whole different topic that most people don't talk about. By the way, it talks about how there is hundreds of ethnic groups in Nigeria. Oh, let's say this again. Hundreds of ethnic groups in Nigeria, not just one. See, American blacks are monolithic. It is one. So the nerve of certain type of Nigerians, the one this applies to, because there are numbers of good Nigerians that know I'm telling this truth. The nerve of some gullible version of Nigerians, the one I'm talking about in the States and some other personnel, the ones this applies to have the nerve to look down upon American blacks and numbers of Nigerians make up a smattering of demographics. Man, they lucky that there's not a 20% or 30% of American blacks saying, go to hell. Who the hell do you think you are? You run your little asses over to America. You think you got some education. You make up a small smattering of demographics. Who the hell do you think you are? You came. I don't want to go there. See, they lucky that none of the American blacks, the ones that know, ain't checkmating their asses. Because it's like there are hundreds of, again, ethnicities. And Nigeria's not one. And then you talk about hundreds of languages in Nigeria. Now, Nigeria would be I'm pretty sure it's a very beautiful country. Beautiful scenery, beautiful landmarks, beautiful culturalness, right? I'm just relaying that, but you at the same time, you have those Nigerians, the one I'm talking, the one this relates to, are trying to get out of Nigeria. And they have the nerve again to try to talk about American blacks. Who the hell do some of them think they are? Let me go ahead and play you this particular video on this.
Not a day goes by when China and its behavior don't make the news.
A Chinese supermarket has been accused of racism against locals in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Nigerians were outraged after they were denied entry inside the store for not being of Chinese descent. The West African nation's consumer watchdog has now shut down the Chinese market and summoned its owner. Our next report goes into detail.
Not a day goes by when China and its behavior don't make the news. This time, Chinese actions have sparked outrage almost 10,000 kilometers away. Residents in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, are enraged with the way they've been treated. A Chinese supermarket in Nigeria is at the center of controversy. The shop is located in a building run by the Chinese Chamber of Commerce in the Nigerian capital. The Chinese supermarket has been accused of racism by denying entry to African shoppers. After videos of the supermarket's blatant racism against local Nigerians went viral, the West African nation's consumer protection watchdog closed down the Chinese store. Officials of Nigeria's Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission locked down the Chinese supermarket until further notice. They also summoned the store's owner for investigation. So how did this instance of Chinese racism against Nigerians in their own country surface? It all started earlier this week. A group of Nigerians went to the Chinese Chamber of Commerce to shop from its supermarket. They were all stopped at the entrance by guards who said that people of only Chinese descent were allowed inside. And then the outcry began. Nigerian authorities have refused to reopen the Chinese supermarket. However, the racist attitude by Chinese towards Nigerians and Africans is nothing new. Reports highlight that Chinese social media is full of anti-African content. And despite calls for controlling racism on Chinese social media, Beijing has done almost nothing about it. Chinese racism came into spotlight even before the COVID-19 pandemic. Africans who were living in China became victims of Chinese racism repeatedly. Over the years, reports of Africans being treated unfairly by the Chinese had become far too frequent. It reached a point where governments had to intervene to douse the flames. And instead of facing the crisis, Beijing called the racism incidents a way to create animosity between China and Africa.
I want to say that if there are people who want to seize on an incident to exaggerate matters and sow discord in China's relations with African countries, that this is a doomed, futile effort. China and Africa have weathered many storms, and the cooperation has been successful and win-win. How relations are between China and Africa, and whether or not cooperation is good, African countries and the people of Africa know in their hearts exactly how things stand.
China's presence in Africa, particularly in Nigeria, remains massive. There are at least 10,000 Chinese living in Nigeria. And Beijing is credited for opening major ports and infrastructure projects in Abuja. However, China has openly engaged in arm twisting and discrimination against locals.
This is what true supremacists is doing. That is an embarrassment. It's almost like, some children, and they're saying, "Oh my goodness, this person was doing some bullying to me. Oh my goodness!" And then the parent or parents or grandparents said, "Wait a minute, you know how to defend yourself. Won't you defend yourself? And either you're gonna win or they're gonna win. But at least you're showing them that you will not be run over." So again, to the good Nigerian personnel, credit given to you. Because I know it's a difficult thing. I know it's a difficult thing for good Nigerians to keep trying to do their best to get things situated and things like that. Because now, unfortunately, is that, see, again, numbers of American blacks tolerate what I will say some disrespectfulness from certain numbers of Nigerians. I'm talking about the ones who do this, especially within America. Again, there are good Nigerian personnel, but it's almost like, again, supremacists being very brilliant. They're laughing because, again, most people seem to fail to realize Nigerians is not just a one background people. They are made up of hundreds of ethnicities, and three main ones on that, like the Igbos and Yoruba and stuff like that, and with hundreds of other languages. And people fail to realize that. Now, unfortunately, I will say that unfortunately, numbers of American blacks, modern day, are becoming lost more and more and more because, again, numbers of American blacks do just like this. And stuff like that. So I will just say to the good of Nigerians, credit given to them on that. So again, it is an embarrassing situation that numbers of Chinese personnel, the ones who know what they're doing, are making sure of doing a pseudo colonizing. And you know what? They're not going nowhere. And I'm sitting there saying to you, are relaying over that watch how eventually that supermarket will open back up. Let's say this, let me say this again. Watch how that Chinese supermarket, relating to the story, will be allowed to open back up. The numbers of Chinese personnel are ingrained in various parts of Nigeria, and they're not going anywhere. And this is why it is, again, embarrassing to certain numbers of Nigerians within certain parts of America. Though I'm talking about the ones that are the gullible ones, are the ones who think that they are all of that. And it's like, oh, you're all of that, but you're in America. So it's one thing you come from opportunities and to see different things. It's another thing when you think you are better than the people, American blacks who have helped build this country beyond no comparison of numbers of Nigerians. Please. When the Nigerian population is minuscule. So again, numbers are lucky that numbers of American blacks don't checkmate that tail and let them know, who the hell do you think you are? Right? And let's not even talk about, unfortunately, the resources that's being grabbed up left and right in various parts of Nigeria. Let's not talk about the various type of internal ethnicities of intra fighting. Let's not talk about that. Right? See, numbers of Nigerians, I'm talking the ones applies to, they don't like that to be talked about, especially within America. So they know that multi-millions of American blacks don't know the game that's going on with certain parts of Nigeria and how the intra fighting within numbers of people within Nigeria is going. Right? So this was, to me, it was an interesting story. Again, it's a timepiece purpose because, again, when again and again, numbers of Chinese personnel are letting certain numbers of Nigerians in Nigeria, letting them know that we don't care what you think. You little different Negroes. We are here and we ain't leaving. But to the good numbers of Nigerians, hey, I wish them, success in doing as much as they can in Nigeria, and even some of the good ones in America, right? To keep doing their thing as good ones, right? Again, the ones that's unconstructive and think they're better than American black, that person can go to hell, right? Because again, without the American blacks, many wouldn't even be in America, right? So I thank you for tuning in to the Real CP show. That actually was, I think, a decent story to talk about, because again, there's going to be more reminders to certain ones within Nigeria from the Chinese personnel on that. And all I can say is